Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm actually just going to be showing you what I'm working on now, kind of like a progress report, I guess. So I'm not actually going to show you like a tutorial. I mean, I am going to show you like how I'm doing the project that I'm doing, but I'm not actually going to go over like new techniques or like patterns or anything like that. It's basically just to show you what I work on in real life, I guess, because I'm constantly doing like swatches or like ugly socks to show you guys new techniques and that kind of thing. So I wanted to show you actually just a real project that I'm actually working on. So this is actually a scarf that I'm working on that hopefully when I finish I'll actually be able to wear, or someone will be able to wear. It's just a cool cable pattern that I really liked. It's nothing terribly fancy. It's got some complicated cable work in there, but I guess I'm just playing show and tell with this video. So I'm going to show you how I did it, kind of some of the problems that I'm having with it also, and let me know in the comments what you think. I might do another video later where I show you like the end result of this, but I hope to do kind of like a series of videos intermittently that kind of show just more of actual projects that I'm working on in real life, just to give you kind of an idea of, I guess, knitting in practice. I mean, most of the ideas that I get from my own projects, I get from looking at other people's projects and kind of picking and choosing what I like and what I don't like. So maybe you'll see something in this project that you like and it will inspire you to do something else or something better. If it does, let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe. So here's a closer look at what I have going on here. I guess I'll just give you kind of a rundown of what's going on. So I don't know what this pattern is called. I actually don't know. It's kind of just a mix of a lot of different types of cable knitting. So I guess I'll just go through it. First of all, my main kind of inspiration for it came from a pattern that I saw just online, scrolling through a million projects. The main thing that caught my eye in the project was that it had this in it, which if you look carefully, it looks like it's just two kind of cables that are forming a kind of diamond shape, but the inside of the diamond is not purling. It's a 1x1 rib stitch, and so it creates this kind of raised bump for the diamond. So you actually have a couple different levels going on here. You've got the lowest level, which is kind of the purling, which is being pushed down, and then on top of that, you have another level that's this 1x1 ribbed pattern, and then you have the cables that are on top of that going around the rib. So it creates this kind of bump that I really liked and had never seen before. So I wanted to do that, and then also I just love cables, so I kind of mixed kind of a Saxon braid pattern. But I kind of got over my head, as you can see. I kind of don't like how this turned out. It kind of got kind of muddy going under the diamond at the top and then spreading out. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to simplify the knots that I have going on there. And I did that at the beginning. At the beginning, I have just this. So I was a little unsure of myself for this one. So I started halfway through the kind of raised diamond pattern. And then I did this nice little kind of pretzel swirl thing up until I formed another one of the diamonds with the raised bumps in it, the raised ribbing. And then for the next section, this is where I got in over my head, and I thought, oh, well, let's add in another cable and just see what happens. And so I've got 4 cables coming out from underneath the diamond, coming apart, forming this kind of knot pattern, and then coming back to another diamond shape here. So where I'm at now is I'm actually just going to do another little thing that I did at the very beginning, this kind of simple pretzel pattern here, just because I do not like how this one turned out. It looks too messy. This one is much simpler, and it's also easier to keep track of. This one was a headache to figure out how to navigate everything. So I guess I'm just going to show you a couple rows of where I'm at now. It's kind of a fun pattern to do. You've always got something going on with this pattern. There's always going to be a cable moving, and that's the one thing I love most about cable knitting, is that you feel really in control of the pattern and what you're doing with it, just because you're always moving it around. So it starts out with just a ribbed border, which I don't like doing, which I'll talk about later. It was a mistake to do this ribbed border, but there's a ribbed border. We're just 1x1 cables here. 1x1 ribbed. I'm so bad at the terminology these days. And then I purl for about 4 stitches. Not about 4 stitches. I purl for 4 stitches for sure. So here's 4 pearls. Da, da, da. And then I get to my first cable that I've got. And so this cable has branched out from underneath the diamond. And now I'm going to have it go inwards 2 places. And it's going to meet up with the 2 cables that are here in the middle. If you can see, there's a branch here, a branch here, a branch here, and a branch here. So they're all gonna kind of intersect and crisscross and form this kind of thing that I had at the very beginning again. I get my cable needle here and slip off the 2 stitches that make up this cable. And then I'm going to purl 2 stitches because I want it to move over 2 places. And then I'll bring up the 2 stitches for the cable again. So now that cable has moved over 2 places. Now here's where it gets fun because I am going to go straight into another cable with my cable knitting needle. So I just loaded up, I just knitted, so I just moved that other cable over 2 spots. Now I'm going to move this other cable over to the right 2 spots as well. So immediately after putting the other cable back on, I'm going to go right back in with my cable knitting needle and knit off 2. I'm going to bring those to the back and then knit 2 to the front here right away. And then I'll bring back in those 2 purls from the back. And then I'm not going to set my cable needle down. I'm going to go right back in again with the cable needle and take 2 stitches off for the 3rd cable that I've got going on here. And I'm going to purl 2 stitches because I want to move this cable over to the left 2 places. You can see why I wanted to simplify this because it was way too complicated with all those, with 4 cables. I guess 6 cables I had at one point. So this one's just 4 cables I'm dealing with, which is much easier. So I'm going to knit those 2 off again. And then keep my cable needle with me because I'm going to go right back in once again, take off those 2 purls, put them to the back, and then knit 2 stitches for my last cable that I have. I want it going over 2 spaces to the right. So we bring the cable needle to the back and we knit those off. Cool. And now purl those 2 stitches. Cool. And now I'm done with the cable needle for sure. And I can just purl the rest until I get to my terrible border, which I totally regret doing, which I will show you once I'm finished with the back side row. Cool. So here's the border. Got knit, purl, knit, purl, and then the last 2 stitches are 2 knits. Knit and knit. Flipping it over to the back side. The back side of my project actually doesn't look that bad. I really enjoy cable knitting because you can have this very intricate front side, and the back still doesn't really look as messy as it would if you were doing fair isle knitting or something with different colors or lace knitting or something like that. The back just looks like kind of a badly stockinette stitched piece of knitting. So it's not that bad. And it's not that hard to keep track of the purls and the stitches that I need to knit here. So I'm just going to quickly finish up this row here. So we do the opposite of what we did on the front. So purl 2, knit, purl, knit, and purl. Knit, 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 and knit. And then when you get to the cables that I switched over from the last row, that's the only part you have to be careful of, to be sure you knit the knits and purl the purls. So I moved these over, so sometimes it's a little difficult to tell the purls from the knit stitches, but by now I'm familiar enough with the pattern and what they're looking like, so it's not too complicated, and I don't think I've made any serious mistakes yet. So again, I found this pattern on Pinterest. I really wish I could credit whoever it was, but you know how the internet is. You don't pay attention to anything and you don't give credit where credit is due. But basically, I saw an initial pattern with just the diamond shape with the raised kind of ribbed center of the diamond, creating that raised bump. And then I wanted to just add more cables to it, so I added the pretzel knotted pattern there underneath it. And I think it looks good. I think the pattern is a little complicated sometimes, so it is taking a while to finish this scarf, but when it's done, I think it's going to look pretty good. So turning it over to the front, I'll kind of give you more of a breakdown of what's going on. So here's 2 further rows done now, and we've got the beginnings of another pretzel knot forming right here. So we've got these 2 guys crisscrossing. They're going to crisscross again and create a square, the same square that I have here, I think. Yes, yeah. That's what's going to happen. And yeah, I'm just going to build it up from there. The one thing I was going to tell you about the border is that I've got this 1x1 ribbed border. I guess it's actually 1x1 by 1 by 2, because I've got 2 knit stitches on the end here. The thing I don't like about this project, and the thing that's ruining it for me, is that you can already tell, you can already see it right here, but the border is being pinched inwards, and part of that is because of just the pattern, the knots, they all go in right here, and so it's pulling in my work right here, and then it's happening again right there. So if I just let it just hang and do its thing, that's what the fabric's doing. So it's creating this kind of ripple, which I do not like and I'm not a fan of. And I know there's a way to stop it from doing that, but I'm not sure if I trust myself enough to be able to pull it off. I think what you can do is add stitches into the work, add purl stitches probably right here where it's being pinched inwards, and that might stop it a little bit from doing it. But then I also think it might be the pattern that I'm doing for the border. That bump here on the edge, I think, might be curling it in a little bit. I'm not sure, or it just might be doomed. I don't know. My strategy, my plan is when I'm finished, I'm just gonna lightly iron it where it's rippling out, just so it doesn't so it kind of hopefully holds its shape a little flatter. And it does. I've tested it out where I've kind of wrapped it around things, and it doesn't ripple up or anything like that. I don't think it'll cause any problems when someone's actually wearing it, but it is just kind of a little frustrating thing. It just looks really dumb having that little ripple right here and pinch inwards, because otherwise it's a really nice looking project. So if you have any tips, and I know there's people out there that do have tips for preventing this kind of ripple, please let me know in the comments. I will definitely look into it, and I might actually incorporate it into the project. I'm one of those people that notices something is happening, that something bad is happening in my knitting project, and instead of starting over, I just start doing it. I start incorporating it in as I go along with the project. So at the end, I have this kind of like Frankenstein project where it's like the rough draft down at the end, and then by the end of the scarf or whatever I'm working on, it actually finally looks like I've nailed it down. So let me know your thoughts on this project, if you have any tips, if you think this border is a terrible idea and that's what's causing this problem, or if it's just the knots and there's no way to get rid of it, which would be really sad. So let me know your thoughts. In the meantime, this is what I'll be working on, and I'll probably be giving you another video to show you the final product once it's all finished.